For me, as a young woman who is diagnosed with a high-functioning form of autism known as Asperger's syndrome, along with dyspraxia at a young age, I have had to go through so much to get to where I am today. Due to the fact that I am a double diagnostic, I have had to face discrimination and bullying by most of my classmates up until I graduated from high school, just because I was different. All of it involved name-calling. It even involved the R word, that means to make slow or delay, but is a term used to call people like myself either stupid, obtuse, or ineffective. Jokes and pranks that I didn't find very funny, and having things like trash being thrown at me every day in class. Although I was lucky enough to make friends with people who actually decided to get to know me for the person who I really am before making up their minds about me, the bullying that I had to endure over the years, it still hurt me emotionally. Those who were involved in all of the torment I went through for a little more than 10 years of my life, from second grade up until my high school graduation, despite my mother's fruitless attempts to explain and teach my classmates about my disabilities, they still made their assumptions that I was no more than a freak and a weirdo who was less than they were. And to me, that just hurt. Because of the untrue rumors and gossip about me that was spread behind my back, along with the fact that I didn't wear the same type of clothes or shoes, or did my makeup or my hair the same way the other girls did, and I still don't, since I prefer old-fashioned jewelry and I wear clothes that are stylish. They just don't show too much skin, and are both comfortable and not really tight. I prefer my hair in its natural color, which is, of course, red. But it is a rare shade that most girls try to dye and highlight in order to get it. Well, for me, it's been the same practically since I was born. And I tend to do my makeup in a way that makes it look like I'm not wearing any at all, and I don't use any eyeliner or mascara, and the makeup I use actually blends in with my fair complexion. I was never asked out by any of the guys in my class because of all the gossip, and when I took interest in one guy, I got rejected. Despite all of that, I survived and persevered by pouring myself into my studies, and through my favorite books and my favorite games, I created my own private world where I could escape to. Even when I was a little girl, I would use my dolls to create a world where I could escape to and create stories where I was the main protagonist. And I would go out on an adventure, defeat the forces of evil, find true love, and live happily ever after. However, despite the methods I used to escape my hard reality, I still wished that everyone knew what autism and dyspraxia actually were, and would see me as a unique individual, instead of a freak. Today I'm going to teach you what they are and what it is like for someone like me who has these disabilities. Let's start with autism, since many people think it's a disease that has yet to have a cure, or that it is the result of certain types of vaccines or medications. The truth is, autism, especially Asperger's syndrome, it is not a disease or a side effect from certain vaccinations or medicines. Autism is a genetic learning disorder in the brain, which means that my brain is wired differently, and I also learn and feel things differently than everyone else. But it doesn't mean that I'm not smart or able to learn anything. And it also doesn't mean that I don't have feelings. Autism also allows me to see things differently than others, and I also respond to things differently than others, and I'm also used to doing things in a certain way and in a certain order. However, it also affects my speech and how I pronounce words, which required me to see a speech therapist when I was a kid. Despite that, I'm really smart, and I'm very observant. I was able to memorize basic mathematics before I started grade school, and I also knew how to do fractions by the time I reached the 3rd grade. I could also read and write very good, and by the time I reached high school, I was already reading my eldest brother's old books from when he was in college. I also know how to cook and clean and do laundry. I can memorize a lot of things from history, mainly because I read a lot of history books. And I can also memorize a lot of facts about certain historical figures and events. Because of this, I was able to keep my A average in my high school history classes. And I also know basic chemistry and physics. So I was also able to get the highest grade in my high school physical science class. And I graduated high school with academic excellence and the largest book record in the school's library. Dyspraxia is another learning disability that mainly deals with hand-eye coordination and processing. For me, it's rather difficult to catch a ball that is thrown towards me, but I can throw and kick rather well. The dyspraxia also made me a little bit clumsy with my footwork, but I took dance lessons, mostly ballroom, during my junior year of high school to help me with that, and I picked up on the steps and memorized each dance I learned rather fast. When it comes to how my family, I got pretty lucky. Because my mom is a case management nurse, so she has worked with people who have disabilities. And she knows a lot about pretty much the disabilities that I have. Also, learning disabilities and disorder are sort of front of my family, particularly on my mom's side. And not just autism and dyspraxia, but also ADHD and dyslexia. But everyone in my family has a special talent. My older brother has a traumatic brain injury, and he may be autistic like I am, and he pretty much has ADHD and OCD. But he's a great artist. Trust me, he's really good. And one of my cousins has dyslexia, and he's very good at his electrician job, and he's a very talented musician. Next time when you meet someone who is different just because they either have a disability or they have a disorder, try to get to know them first, because they may surprise you. Since you can't judge a book by its cover, one day I would like to see a published book about my life and the struggles I faced, so that way others will learn more about my disabilities and understand them better. And so everyone will see that people like myself are unique individuals and that they should not be treated like freaks or worthless people, so that way no one else will be forced to suffer the same pain and sense of loneliness that I had to suffer as a child.